Welcome back, and on today's video we're going to be showing you guys at home how to repair holes in plasterboard or drywall.
And that is going to include opening up the damaged area, repairing the hole, reinforcing the repair and filling it.
Let's get to it. As you can see, we have damage in our plasterboard ceiling and it's too big to fill, so we're actually going to have to open it wider.
So to open up the hole to a larger size, we're going to be using something called a hole saw that looks like this. And to find the size you're going to need, if you just take a tape measure, measure the widest section of damage you've got. For us, it's going to be 80 millimeters for the widest section. So we'll use an 80mm hole saw, or as close to that as we can get. So I've got my hole saw that I've decided I'm going to be using in my combination drill. I've also got myself some goggles. I'm going to go and grab a mask. I've also had a quick check in the ceiling to make sure there's no pipes or cables around where I'm going to be drilling, because we don't want to be going through that. One last thing, before you go drilling into your ceiling, if you've got Artex on your ceiling, make sure you've had it tested, because there is a chance it could contain asbestos. So let's get this hole cut.
Right, now that Phil's cut the hole out, it's going to actually make it for a much cleaner repair. On this occasion we've actually hit a joist, so there's actually something to fix to. But don't worry if you haven't landed on a joist, because we have another hole here that we're going to demonstrate to you guys how to fix it.
So to repair something that hasn't got a joist or somewhere to fix to, all we do, we get ourselves a little scrap of timber. This is just a broken off bit of 80mm MDF, and we feed it up into our hole, and then we pull it across so our scrap is sat in the centre of the hole we're repairing. We then get ourselves some drywall screws, and we use our combi or our impact. So we're past the damage, we screw through the original, and we're going to go up into that piece of timber whilst pulling down on the piece of timber. And we're going to put one on the opposite side. Again, we're going to pull down on the timber. We've sunk those screws down, and now that we've done that, we've got a decent place to fix our repair to.
So our next step is to grab a sheet of plasterboard, and we're going to cut a hole out using the same hole saw we used in the beginning of the video. Now we need to keep this in good condition, because we're going to use it for the repair.
So now that Brad's cut us out our little circle repair piece, if you just go up to your hole and double check it's all good, it's all going to fit. What we're going to do, we're going to be using plasterboard screws, so they look like this. They're designed specifically for plasterboard or drywall. And a little tip for you, if you just push these in by hand and give them a little turn, you can then use this hand to hold it in place while you screw it into the piece of timber that's above, either the repair that we showed you or a joist that might be above. So we hold that up in line with our piece of timber, and we sink our two screws. And we want the heads to just dimple down into the top. We don't want them proud. So these are all below now. So now we can move on to the next step. Right, now that our piece is installed and the hole is filled, you may think now's time to chuck some filler over. But you shouldn't do that. We need to add some scrim tape, and what that does is it reinforces the repair, and it's going to prevent cracking in the future. So we're going to be using Walther Strong's heavy duty scrim tape, because it's super sticky and it's a very good product. So let's get some strips pulled out and get them installed. Right, so to apply the tape, we take the end, put it over the area we're going to be filling, but we're going to be going past where the damage was, and then we take ourselves a filling knife like this, hold it where we want it cut, and if you just pull this at an angle, down and away, it will rip. Make sure that's stuck on, and we're going to do, I think, 2 bits on this. So we just want to basically make sure we've overlapped the damage area, ready for filling, and just make sure it's nice and flat. So we're going to do that on any other repairs we're doing, and we'll show you the next step.
Right, so now that you've reinforced your hole, it's time to get yourself some filler. We're actually going to be using Easy Fill filler, because it's a lot easier to sand back and it dries really quick. Right, so now you need to add some powder to your mixing bucket. Just tip it in. Don't add too much, because you can always add more after. That's it. We've got some filler in the mixing bucket. And then what we find easier is if you make a little channel in the middle, and then we're going to add the water into the middle of it. Don't add too much. We'll just add it as we go. And then we're going to basically fold it in, bit like bakery. When you're mixing your filler, just make sure you mix it thoroughly through because you do not want any bits in it. And this is the sort of consistency you're looking for. Now it's time to add the filler to our holes, and I'm going to show you how to apply it.
So we're going to take our filling knife. There's many different styles, but we're going to be using this one today. We just take a section of our filler, and then we're going to go from the centre out, and again out, and then all we're going to be doing is just working our way away from the centre of our repair. So now that we've got some filler on our area, I've gone and got a 9-inch filling knife, nice and wide, and we're just going to be pulling our filler flat across the area, remembering that we're going wider than the actual repair itself. And we're not aiming for perfection here because this is just our first coat, so we're going to let that set and we'll be giving it a second fill and then a nice sand down. Now that our first layer of filler is dry, we're ready for our second layer, and what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be applying pressure on the outer edge and less to our repair so that we can feather it further away so it's unnoticeable. So let's load up our filling knife.
So what we've done, we've mixed up another brand new lot of filler, and we're going to load it up onto our filling knife.
A quick tip, if your pot is smaller than the knife you're using, filling knife, if you just get yourself a smaller one and we can just load up the larger one. Simple as that. So let's start applying it. So I'm just going to get it onto the repair itself first, and then once it's on we can start feathering it out, which basically I'm applying more pressure to the outer edges. You can see we've feathered it out more, and what we're doing is basically making it a very subtle repair because we're bringing it out further. It'll be much easier to hide, so we're going to let that dry and start sanding it out. Right, so now that our second layer of filler is dry, it's time to start sanding back. So you want to be sanding from sort of 120 up to 180 grit. We're going to go straight in with the 180 grit because we're quite flat already, but if you've got some bigger bits you need to knock back, you can go over to the 120. Just remember, when we're sanding this, we're not trying to sand right through the middle because obviously we've built this out to cover our repair. We're trying to feather out into the edges from the centre. So nice and lightly, and try and keep your paper nice and flat, and make sure you've got some goggles on. And another thing, don't worry too much if you sand through and you hit the tape or you've missed a little bit. You can always knock up another bit of filler and fill back over and knock that back. Just keep going until you get it nice and smooth. So we're going to get this sanded back and show you it all painted.
Right, before we continue, I just want to let you guys know that this floor is actually being replaced, but if you're actually keeping your floor, make sure you put some dust sheets down to protect your flooring. Right, now it's time to paint your ceiling, and before we do, I just want to let you guys know that you need to prime the area first if you plan on painting the whole ceiling. So what I mean by that is you just need to give this a first coat just on the area that we have done a repair on. We're just using normal white emulsion on this ceiling and wall paint, giving it a light mist coat, and we're going to let that soak in, and then we're going to come over it, and then we're going to give the whole ceiling another coat. Right, so we're going to continue and paint the rest of the ceiling. We hope this video has been a massive help to you guys.
And just remember, like, comment, subscribe.
Peace!